It's been a year since Boris Johnson was sworn in as Prime Minister of the UK. Those 12 months have been tumultuous, to say the least. Here, we take a look back at Boris Johnson's first year as PM.
Boris Johnson is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
Johnson hoped to succeed where his predecessor Theresa May had failed and get a Brexit deal with the European Union through the Commons, initially aiming for a deadline of October 31st. No ifs or buts.
And our mission is to deliver Brexit on the 31st of October for the purpose of uniting and re-energising our great United Kingdom.
But faced with unrest amongst the Tory benches and a slim majority in Parliament, Johnson's initial months as PM proved not dissimilar to Theresa May's, as his attempts to get Brexit done faced defeat after defeat in the Commons.
Not a good start, Boris.
On 28th of August, the PM announced his intention to prorogue Parliament, in preparation for a Queen's speech where he would announce the Tories' new legislative agenda. The decision was met with outrage by opposition MPs, many of whom accused Johnson of attempting to stifle efforts to prevent a no-deal Brexit.
Suspending Parliament is not acceptable, it's not on. What the Prime Minister is doing is a sort of smash and grab on our democracy in order to force through a no-deal exit from the European Union.
That is completely untrue. If you look at what we're doing, we're bringing forward a new legislative programme on crime, on hospitals, making sure that we have the education funding that we need. And there will be ample time on both sides of that crucial October the 17th summit, ample time in Parliament for MPs to debate the EU, to debate Brexit and all the other issues. Ample time.
As the PM and his government struggled to secure votes with their slim majority, things went from bad to worse for Johnson when MP Philip Lee crossed the floor, defecting to the Liberal Democrats. With that, the PM's majority was no more, and it would shrink even further that day after Johnson expelled 21 rebel Tory MPs from the party for voting against the government.
His is a government with no mandate, no morals, and as of today, no majority.
Later that month came a further blow to the new PM, as his plan to prorogue Parliament was found to be unlawful by the Supreme Court.
Because it had the effect of frustrating or preventing the ability of Parliament to carry out its constitutional functions without reasonable justification.
That meant MPs were back in Westminster the next day to battle it out once more over Brexit.
At 11:30 a.m.
With his deadline of 31st of October looming, Johnson triumphantly announced the EU had accepted his new Brexit deal, which no longer included the Northern Irish backstop, that controversial mechanism which proved the major sticking point in passing Theresa May's deal in the UK Parliament.
The European Council has approved the agreement that's been negotiated over the last couple of months.
Order!
However, MPs concerned that there wouldn't be enough time to debate the accompanying legislation passed an amendment delaying the meaningful vote until that legislation had been passed.
The noes to the left, 306.
This further defeat for Johnson meant he had to ask the EU for another delay, pushing the revised Brexit date out to the 31st of January 2020.
Because I'm afraid it looks as though our EU friends are going to respond to Parliament's request by having an extension, which I really don't want.
The frustrated PM now turned his efforts to pushing for a general election, hoping to reset the balance in Parliament to give him the votes he needed to deliver on that promise to get Brexit done.
I simply do not believe that this House is capable of delivering on the priorities of the people, whether that means Brexit or anything else.
And on 29th of October, he got his wish.
We are ready for an election. We're going to go out there with a very strong message of how we transform our society to end inequality and injustice and deal with the devastating poverty that so many people face.
If I come back here with a working majority in Parliament, then I will get Parliament working again for you.
I do not ever use racist language in any form to describe anybody in this world or in our society.
You cannot be neutral on questions like this.
On 12th of December, Johnson emerged victorious, securing an 80-seat majority, the largest Tory win since Margaret Thatcher was in power.
This one nation Conservative government has been given a powerful new mandate.
I will not lead the party in any future general election campaign.
Good morning, good afternoon, afternoon everybody. Good afternoon. This morning I went to Buckingham Palace and I am forming a new government, and on Monday MPs will arrive at Westminster to form a new parliament, and I'm proud to say that members of our new One Nation government, a people's government, will set out from constituencies that have never returned a Conservative MP for 100 years.
Johnson faced his first major post-election controversy after deciding to allow Chinese telecommunications company Huawei a part in building the UK's 5G infrastructure.
We can allow Huawei into some aspects of 5G, but not compromise our intelligence sharing abilities with America, Australia, Canada, or New Zealand, the so-called Five Eyes. So I'm very confident we can do that.
On the 31st of January 2020, the UK officially left the EU. But just as that major milestone was reached, the beginnings of the PM's biggest challenge yet were looming on the horizon.
One of our students has tested positive for coronavirus.
As of today, 8 people in England have tested positive for coronavirus.
This is the worst public health crisis for a generation. You must stay at home. You should not be meeting friends. You should not be meeting family members who do not live in your home. Many lives will, sadly, be lost. I've developed mild symptoms of the coronavirus, that's to say a temperature and a persistent cough. 563 more cases, a record in a single day. Our thoughts go out to the families of the victims, all their friends. I've today left hospital after a week in which the NHS has saved my life, no question.
The PM and his fiancée Carrie Symonds have announced the birth of a healthy baby boy this morning.
30,076 have now died.
This is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week. Instead, we're taking the first careful steps to modify our measures.
Yesterday's ONS figures showed that at least 40% of all deaths from COVID-19 were in care homes. Does the Prime Minister accept that the government was too slow to protect people in care homes?
Yes, it is absolutely true that the number of casualties has been too high, but we are making progress, Mr. Speaker.
Is it one rule for you, Mr. Cummings, and another rule for everybody else?
I think that what I did was the most reasonable thing in the circumstances.
Lockdown only succeeded in controlling the virus because everyone worked together. And we will only succeed in reopening if everyone works together again, because we're not out of the woods yet. What I'm trying to set out today, a plan where we hope for the best, but plan for the worst.